What it is, I'm public enemy number one, zmot. More on that in a second, but in case you've been living under a rock, RUDDERO is coming to the main base. I've got a video on that, creator code zmot in the shop to cover those details. While you're in the shop, do make gosh darn sure that you trade in some of those trader tickets, because we're gonna need those tokens to get those abilities going. Obviously, you don't want to trade in too many because you don't want to waste those resources, because gonna be some upgrades and things like that. But for the second, I'm gonna get a couple of these just so that I can get his bombing run up to tick 2 or 3 initially. This account does have headquarters level 24, I do think, so we're in good shape for that. Speaking of the public enemy thing, daylight savings time happened. I have been absolutely slammed, so I released my sneak peek for the sneak peek an hour early. So you're welcome, and I'm very sorry to all the other boom tubers out there. It was not intentional, just didn't know it was not daylight savings time in Finland, and I've checked every year for the last 5 years and every video for the last 5 years, but I just didn't have the bandwidth to do it last night. So sorry to Stoneheart and Chicken and Skull and all the rest that had a sneak peek. I screwed you. I think it's the first time I've screwed up with the creator program, but anyways, moving forwards on to my warship. And this warship has made it into Diamond with a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill. 56% win rate on the season, which is pretty good, sitting in and around with most of the players around me. Then you see some players who are down in 48 and lower. Most players having pretty good win rates overall, though. So pretty happy to be in Diamond, and I'll show you what got me into Diamond. I'm done for the season. This is going to be all replays, but I figured out some decent hits, and you guys might already know these, but I thought I would share them just in case they help you. Now, quick note, I do have that 100% troop damage. That is basically required, but on the flip side, I also have the Doom Cannon, which sucks. So I also don't have the diamonds to make any changes. I was using all of my diamonds to get troops because this account does not have instant training. So hoping for a second straight season to get top 500 and diamond without instant training. Top 500 still to be determined. Probably not going to make it. I would guess 396 is, there's probably going to be a whole bunch of movement in the next 2 days, 14 hours, let's be honest. But I am just done. No time at all. So I am parking all of my accounts. And I'll show you my hits. So first and foremost, you see, I told you, don't even consider copying this base. Don't even think about it, because 2 minutes 16, 2 minutes 16, people are ridiculously fast against this base. 227, just absolutely people are flying. And then I got a little bit lucky on those last couple. So lost. I had a 9 game win streak, 10 game win streak. And then it got absolutely smashed by Safi. So these things happen. You're trying for diamond, and then you run into a 22 or a 23, and it's not ideal, but it did reinforce that the hits were working. So what I'm working with is I am low on GBE. The more GBE you can get, the better, obviously. And my barrage is tick 1. My artillery is tick 1. So both of those not helping me in the slightest, and Seekers, I just unlocked them for something to do, which was dumb, by the way. Don't just unlock something dumb when you're going to park, because there are free diamonds at the end of the tree. So just dumb on my part. Extra dumb. I literally just unlocked Seekers and then realized I was doing a dumb. So this is the biggest thing for me. I went and got full tick 5 rocket launchers, which helped a little bit, especially with that building damage, but the rocket choppas are the answer. Those corner bases that everyone's moving to, they crush them. The regular bases, they crush them. So I'll show you my replays, and I'll just draw it out first of all. So what I'm doing here is important detail number 1 is dropping my heavy choppa and rocket choppa about here and having them go left. Dropping different color Mr. Bullet. Where's my different color? There we go. Dropping Bullet and my 2 squad leaders here, so they go this way. And you can flare a building in here because your rocket choppers and stuff will fly over the gap, and then Bullet and the gang will come back. And what has to happen, this is vital, is that this stuff down here has to be cleared before this stuff, or what happens is your rocket choppers and heavy choppers all come this direction. So that's fairly important. You want to drop all of your things pretty darn quickly on the right shore. And then what I'm doing is, if this whole section is clear, but there's like 1 rocket launcher in here, I'm dropping critters and or defib on, where did that blue dotted line just come from? Anyways, dropping all of that stuff on there, because what you really, really need is all of your heavy chopper rocket choppers to go that way. And if they come this way and there's a bunch of stuff over in here, they continue that way. So enough jibber jabber. Let's show you what I'm talking about. Hopefully those drawings did help, because that engine room going down is important, and getting rid of this stuff in here on different bases also equally important. So here's a 2-16. They don't have the rocket launchers in there, so we don't have to worry about those. And you see we've got this right-hand side coming out fairly early on with rocket choppers farther left towards that B1, which didn't work super duper well because we got a shock back there, but all of our squad leaders coming to the right-hand side, and that is fairly gosh darn important. Also, note that you can see that flare to get things moving in that direction. Just because my heavy chopper was potentially going to come right, and we definitely didn't want that. And now all of that stuff going towards that critter launcher, which can't see our troops. Also going towards that back engine room underneath the sky shield, which is huge. These guys coming down to this right-hand side, and everything is just working absolutely perfectly at this point. Yes, I did throw some defib back there, which is distracting that critter launcher a little bit. These guys are getting this engine room, they're getting that engine room, and then I didn't flare as quickly as I should have. Could have saved a second or two, and then tick 1 barrage and artillery doing some final tickling for the finish. So decent time there, and then 2 minutes 4 seconds here. Similar battle. We're just dropping and getting all of the things cleared from that left ramp. That left ramp, super important. And then trying to send some of those guys towards the back, knowing full well that I probably have to throw a shock because my rocket choppers were dropped a little bit early, and they are helping on this bottom engine room. And that's why we flare up to that flamethrower to get our troops to go up there, and then we get these guys down here. And for that back engine room underneath the sky shield, that's where those middle rocket launcher, just to make gosh darn sure that most of our stuff goes left. We did get a heavy chopper to come right, which kind of sucks, but overall we're doing okay. Now this back engine room can be a problem, and so what I do a bunch of times is just clear all of that stuff and send my bombardiers back there with that squad flare, knowing full well that you can send your squad flare underneath the sky shield. Sky shields don't care about squad flares. Bug, feature, I don't know. And yes, I am going to show you a loss. 227 is very quick. And some of you might be looking at these replays saying like, Zed, why don't you drop Bullet and the bombs on the right-hand side? Well, the problem is then they have to come to this engine room here, or your heavy chopper rocket chopper have to do it, and it's just not as quick. I used to do it that way. I've switched, and I've always get above 2 minutes basically. So same deal here. Just coming in on this right-hand side. And this is the thing. This is consistent. This will get you 2 minute plus time. So if you have a sky shield and some well-placed critter launchers, you're going to get diamond without a heck of a lot of difficulty. And then just need to babysit this left-hand side, using that flare to get all of our flying stuff to go left. And it's important that you flare a defense. That way the flare ends. If you flare the ground, you're going to have a bad time. And I told you this rocket launcher right here, I'll show you in a second. And again, same deal here. I'm using defib on this right-hand wall just to make gosh darn sure that some of these flying stuff don't come right. That is my number one screw up, is when my my flying troops go right, very, very bad things happen. So same deal here, just bullet, shock knuckles, walking through things, all of this stuff clearing. We've gotten 6 engine rooms down essentially, and that back one's going to be a problem because critter launchers suck. They are a giant problem. So you'll notice that I used that flare for those squad leader dudes, getting onto that engine room, speeding things up a little teeny tiny bit. So you definitely have to clear mines to get those guys to go towards the back, but it does work fairly okay. Now, these ones I absolutely sucked against with heavy chopper and bombardiers. And so what I'm doing here, same deal. Notice that I've got some boats dropped over here. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to send my heavy chopper and rocket chopper back in this direction, depending on what's all in here. But on this one, there's no engine room over here, so I just send them back. And then I dropped Mr. Bullet and my bombardiers in here, and they clear all of this stuff towards that engine room. That engine room in that far corner is going to be the crux of this hit because of those critter launchers underneath the sky shield. So squad leader flare is hugely, hugely, hugely important on this one. So let's start from the beginning. What I'm doing here, dropping my heavy choppers and rocket choppers on that left-hand side, flaring out wide, and then flaring onto that engine room. I know I want to flare the cannon, but flaring the engine room gets my troops farther that way. Otherwise, they're going to be in this neighborhood, and we really, really don't want that. Anyways, keeping on going. I'm not sure why it does that, but we definitely have to throw a shock here. And then Bullet kind of walks in the wrong direction. We've got some heavies over there. Don't have to worry about that rocket launcher on our on our rocket chop as much. And look at Bullet. Him and his shock knuckles are just clearing all of this stuff. And I give those custard ears a bad time because they don't do any damage, but they're doing a fantastic job of clearing all of the mines. So just walking through this base fairly easily. And you'll notice that just letting them clear, backing them up a little bit, and then defibbing in that back corner to try and distract things. Now, you can use your squad leader flare on the critter launchers if you want. I prefer to just drop it on that engine room. And you'll see as soon as that goes down, we get all sorts of flaring action. So now we can just start flaring things. And I do throw a shock out there to try and keep my bombardiers alive because you get like an extra tiny, tiny little shot from them. And I did throw like 3 artillery, which could not kill the sliver of that engine room. So a decent. And honestly, all of my attacks last night were against those corner bases, but I only have 1 left in my log, sadly. So hopefully that helped you a little bit. I know that you guys can get into Diamond, top 500, top 50, whatever your goal might be. Hopefully that helped you a little bit, but you can definitely build upon that. And I don't recommend going for the Doom Cannon. I was just trying something different and stupid, and you just don't get all the value from those critter launchers underneath the sky shield, which is super, super, super clutch this season. Anyways, that's the end of season 72 for me. Hopefully you guys liked these anniversary shortened seasons. I accidentally opened my other account, which means it is not going to be starting where I wanted it to start. So for those parking details, I had parked in 25. I was hoping to start next season in 14, but for some stupid reason, I clicked on the account during my exhaustion period. So this account will be starting in rank 11 because I didn't make it to 21.50. My other account will be starting in 12 because I didn't make it to 23. If you have any questions about parking, about RUDDERO, about the new update, whatever it might be, please do hit me up in the comments on Discord, on Telegram, on Twitter. But that is all for me. Thanks for coming in. And again, sorry to those other BoomTubers. I definitely did not mean to. And I hate it when people screw things up, and I hate being the person that. So anyways, thanks again for all your patience. Talk to you soon. Peace.